So the first thing that I had to trim, back left tire, and this is really only because I had the gap guards after the body lift, this little rubber sheet here. The way that I had it originally installed wasn't quite sitting flush, and that was rubbing on the inboard side of the tire. Now I went ahead and put a jack underneath the axle to test it out for flex, and I think you can see up there, it is very close. I've heard a lot of people running 1-inch wheel spacers in the rear just to give you some more clearance on that rear frame rail. It's not quite touching right now, or it's just touching where the rubber flap kind of bows out of the way, but I'm not even fully flexed. So if I'm on a trail, it's probably going to pinch up on that frame rail. I'll have to look into wheel spacers. So on the drooped side of the axle, plenty of space between the tire back there. Let's try and get a better look. The upper bump stop is probably the closest thing, but when it's drooped, obviously you're getting further away from the body panels, so you got plenty of space. But you just got to look down here and make sure it's not going to rub on anything. It looks like you're clear on the drooped side. So on both of the rear tires, if you have anything like this, which is just a rubber mat gap guard to cover up the gap left by the body lift, you'll want to make sure that that is sitting flush and out of the way, but it's probably still a good idea to get wheel spacers if you're going to take it off-road where you're going to flex the axle. Quick observation, which is looking at the contact patch of the tire. Since they are a bit wider and it's on a narrow rim, one of the common concerns is you're going to balloon out the tread, and then it's going to be more of a curve instead of a flat surface where it meets the ground, and you're going to wear out the center part of your tread first. After just maybe 20 miles or so of riding, I can kind of see where the end of the pavement contact is, about right here and about right here. I'm running at 30 psi right now. I could drop it more and see if I can get a more flat patch, but honestly I don't really want to go below 30 psi. So I might just see how these wear in and just live with the results. For a 12.5-inch wide tire, the other rubbing to look out for on the front tires, so this is the front left tire on a hard left-hand turn to full stop. I know you got to trim the plastic there. The corner of the tire is likely to rub. I've already trimmed mine, so I think I have enough clearance. But if you go too far, got to look underneath the vehicle at the pivot point of your lower control arm. You can see the sidewall is rubbing right there. So there are steering stops that you can adjust to prevent you from going to full lock. So this will probably reduce your turning radius as far as, doing a U-turn or doing circles in, a cul-de-sac or something. But you want to make sure that these sharp edges of your control arm don't get into the sidewall of your tire. So the steering stops to look out for are going to be on the back side of your tire. Here's one right here. And there's kind of a jam nut, I believe, is how it works. You got to loosen this up, and then you back this bolt out to bring it further outboard. So that's lefty-loosey. And that'll prevent you from turning too far to the right. And there's also one on the back side. I don't know if you can see it with the tires turned the way they are, but a similar type of adjustment. You just want to adjust the steering stops so that if you're at full lock, that the tires can't go any further before they get into those sharp edges. So during a hard right turn at full lock on the front right tire, you got to look on the back edge near the frame rail where you have this sheet metal guard that's guarding some brake lines. Now you can see I am close, but technically I do have clearance. It's not a lot, but I can adjust the steering stops to just make sure that I stay out of there. But you also want to make sure you look on the back side of the rims and tires. For instance, there's an ABS sensor line that's directly rubbing on the tire, so I'm going to have to take the tires off, and I'm going to have to really tie strap the sensors to the upper control arms and get them out of the way. Now, ABS doesn't even work on my vehicle, so that's kind of a moot point, but I still don't want something needlessly rubbing on your tires or rims. So after adjusting my steering stops, I got quite a bit more room with this lower control arm. So that should make it so, of course, my turning radius is reduced, but it should keep me in the safe zone so I'm not damaging my tire. Now you can see on my vehicle, Even with a 2-inch body lift, 3-inch suspension lift, and stock backspace rims, there's still a lot of stuff that a 33 12.5 tire can rub on. And so when someone says, yeah, those tires fit, you really got to understand what it takes to make them fit. Sure, I can clear them. You can trim the plastic there. You can adjust the steering stops out. You might have to run a wheel spacer in the rear to make sure that it doesn't rub up on the frame rail over here. Those are all things that you can do, but if you want something that's literally kind of plug and play where the tire shop bolts them on and you're just good to go without doing any investigation yourself, 33 12.5 is not for you. Stick with 32 11.5 or a 33 10.5. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with these tires so far, but I still need to finish doing a couple minute adjustments.